Hi and welcome to today. I'm Amanda and I'm taking you on my 31 days of essential tools and supplies. My essential tools and supplies may be different from yours, but today we're going to be playing with. So let's get started. Hi and welcome to today. I'm so glad you could join me today. I really love connecting with you each day and sharing with you all the different things that are, I feel, for me anyway, my essentials in my art studio. And it's funny working in here at the moment because this table I'm working on, when I first started out as an artist, well, just as I first started out, one of the tables I first started out, so not going back all the way back down the years, but when I first started seriously considering, you know, doing art full time and really trying to kind of focus, and just, I was working as well, I was working and I was doing art, and then I would be perched on the end of this table pretty much as I am now, doing my art, and then at the end of the day having to clear up because, you know, this was a kitchen table. Anyway, today what I'm going to be sharing with you is about fabric. Now, fabric is a big thing for me in my studio because I do use it, I would say about 40%, 50% maybe even 60%. Anyway, so I use fabric in different ways. I use it to create art sculptures. So I'll show you one of the ones. You've probably seen this in the Bit Jewelry Tools video. So this is wrapped in fabric and then it's wrapped with fibers and then jewelry. So this is a piece. And the fabric has not been painted by me, but what I'm going to show you today is how we can, you know, use fabric and use it in a creative way. If you've got paints, you can create a number of different mini projects that you can utilize the fabric with. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some of the things that I've worked on or done or is in progress, because the great thing about this is that it doesn't have to be finished. You don't have to finish it in one sitting. If you've got a moment, then you can create something, have little projects that you can just take them out, do some work on them and put them away and bring them out again when you've got more time. So one of the things I do regularly is that when I am working with fabric, I've just got some scraps here. So if I've, say, cut up a piece of fabric for creating an art piece or using on a sculpture, anything that's left over I will put it in here. And this is just one of the bags. And so I've made different things. So like I made out of this, I made a skirt and a top. But there are other pieces of fabric that I would have, say, maybe collaged with it, and then there's bits left over. Or this is, what is this? A baby wipe that I wanted to paint, or just use to dampen up the paint, and then whatever's left can be used in a project. So I'm not going to go through it, but you get the idea of collecting scraps that then can be utilized in a bigger project. So let's have a look again at some more scraps. So I would have, like this for instance, so this is a cami leather, and I think I got it for the equivalent of your dollar store. So I wanted to see how, if you painted on it, how the paint would take. And I think it's taken quite well. So this is something that I would then put in a smaller project, like I might cut it up and add bead into it, or embellish it even more, take some other fabric scraps and do something with it. So I'll show you, is it here? I was going to show you that with the beaded project. Anyway, can't find it now. But anyway, so this is one of the things that I would do. And then if I cut up any bits, so like this has been cut up and utilised in other things, I would keep these scraps, because you put them together on a blank, say a canvas or another piece of cloth, and add some stitch into it, and you can get something that looks really pretty. So let's put these scraps out of the way. And then also you can also practice on these. If you wanted to see how a piece of fabric would take paint, because acrylic paint works really great. I'll just come in a bit more. Acrylic paint works really great on different types of fabric, especially if you gesso it, and gesso is one of my favourite tools, the number one. But on here I've got some, you know, the puffy kind of paint that you can get, and nothing is too small. I probably wouldn't go any smaller than, say, this, which is about an inch and a half. But who knows? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at some of the things I've taken scraps with and put together. So something like this, these were all scraps, and it was just a white piece of cloth. These were scraps. I found some, it was paper. I had some, this was like a kind of a fabric paper, and then I found these in a kind of strip. So all I did was cut them into squares and put them on, attach them, stick them on. This is my son's old school uniform, trousers. But the material was actually really nice to work on, and I'll show you some others that came from that. So over the years, so every year he was growing, but and having like at least 2 or 3 pairs of new trousers each year, and the only thing that was damaged was the knee. So I just utilised the fabric, and so what I did was with this is just, I painted the back, and you see how that's just black paint and on white fabric. So I just attached them and stitched them and just added some stitching, and that will make a nice addition to a project. Haven't decided what, but it was just like I wanted to create something. I didn't want to have to create anything really large, and so these things are really great to be able to put together. Again, I'll show you another kind of collaged piece. So this, again, just utilising scraps, cut out a heart out of one piece and then just added it to this white fabric, and then added stitching. And again here I journaled on a piece of fabric, and this particular one is his the shirt, the white shirt, and I cut it up, I painted over it, and again it was just, see, that's just again a project in itself where you can just get there. So here's one, and I would either paint on one, or I'd add the the puffy kind of paint that you can add, or you can add the puffy paint and then add paint, just acrylic paint afterwards. And these little things are great just to doodle on, and just in the same way that you would do paper, and then create a collage out of them. Here's what I did with the dryer sheets. Let's just get those out of the way. Dryer sheets, and if you, this is actually using not just paint. It's not paint. It's the fabric that you can. Sorry, it's the paint that you use on fabric. But they're three-dimensional paints, and they're kind of shimmery. So this attached to like a black piece of fabric or material looks really nice, and you know, you can then add stitching and stuff like that. Again, this is school uniform, and I've kind of done a quilted effect and added some simple beading and some lettering. And for this one, I've just painted it, and on the back you can see how I've done the figures just with the sewing machine. Just utilise the sewing machine and then just done some, you know, continuous lines. And again, this is acrylic paint, and I've just done some random kind of patterns. It was a larger piece, and then I cut it up. I'll show you some larger pieces that I just applied. So this is a really large piece. I was practicing with, let's come out a bit now. I was just practicing with some stencils. These are those, this is one of those, you use it in your sink, but it's like they've got patterns. Some have got flowers, some have got kind of circles or squares, but they make really great stencils. And so you can see two different types. You've got the circle ones, and then over here you've got ones that had squares in. And you can just get a piece of fabric and just play, and that's what this is all about. Just playing and finding ways in which you can kickstart your creativity. You can get to know your supplies and tools, and you can then kind of grow. Basically, you're growing. This is just a school uniform shirt, and I've added wax to it, candle wax, and I was going to apply another layer. So I've got the orange, was an orange dye that I utilised, just mixed up a small amount and then put this in and kind of like tie-dyed it. So you've got some of the patterns that you would in a tie-dye, and then added the wax. I'll probably have to reapply it, and then what I'm going to do is paint it. So you've got the orange underneath, and then I'll paint it in a darker colour. But it's things like that that you can do, and you can see the pattern better on the back, I guess. So yeah, it's things like that you can do that are really a really great way to, you know, kickstart your creativity, sort through your supplies, because you can, you know, just go through them. And then I had this painted fabric sample, so I was gonna just kind of put all my like bits together that I had, you know, if I was working on a particular project, and it was easy then to be able to see what samples and what selections I had. Like this is another one. This is really pretty. This is again school uniform, so you can see it on the back. I ironed it, and then I ironed it, and then I painted it and added these glitter, and then the fabric kind of glittered type paint. And what it was going to be was one of those cuffs. But what I need to add now is some jewellery, some stitching, just finish off the cuff. So again, you've got different projects that you can create for yourself and have. This is a larger version of this one. And you can have the Again, experimenting on fabric. I did some faces. This was when I was playing with the Inktense pencils. So I used Inktense pencils to do this, and I then used some of the three-dimensional paints and added some of the other bits that you can see, and then used the sewing machine to apply some stitching around the face. So again, this is something I'll probably, I'd love to come back to and do some more on it. But it was just to really find ways in which you can play with your tools. That's what I'm really big on, playing with your tools and finding different ways in which you can use them, and just really getting to know them so that you can use them to their fullest, their full extent. Just some more painted fabric that I will use and utilise, and see how I get on. And this one again, school uniform. So this is like a pocket, and I was just like, oh, that'd make a really great kind of, maybe in a journal, and it could be a pocket that you could put things in, or on another fabric piece, or you know, whatever, and really add to the project. So that's it really. I hope that you found that to be of use, and looking at different ways in which you can add, use your fabric and be creative in your studio. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So take care for now and stay blessed.